This is Tipping Point Radio. I'm Craig Merriweather, and you're listening to Emergence. If our bodies are made of energy, might there be a way to manage and even manipulate that energy to heal our bodies and create the health and vitality we so desire? Well, the ancient Chinese practice of Qigong says that you can. I wanted to dive into the deep end of Qigong and understand how to better use the energy of my body and even increase the energy of my body. So today I'm talking with Lee Holden. Lee Holden is an internationally celebrated Qigong master and well-known television personality who has regularly appeared on PBS. Lee first discovered the healing power of Qigong and Tai Chi after experiencing injuries that nearly sidelined his varsity soccer career at the University of California, Berkeley. Impressed at how these ancient practices healed his body and allowed him to return to playing, he made their study a priority. Lee is a doctor of Chinese medicine, a licensed acupuncturist, and an international instructor in Qigong, meditation, Tai Chi, and stress management. Currently, Lee is the co-founder of the Santa Cruz Integrative Medicine and Qi Center. His popular library of Qigong DVDs have made him a regular fixture on American public television and over 105 PBS stations throughout the U.S. and Canada. Lee's unique Qigong programs have been seen by over 50 million households. Now here's my interview with Lee Holden. Hello, Lee. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
Well, excited to have you on because your experience in the Western world, you grew up in California, I believe, and so you have this firm grasp of the Western world and Western science, but you also started studying this Eastern energy system. And to me, and probably to a lot of other people, don't quite understand what that means. They've heard of the energy system, and it gets thrown around a lot, and they hear about things like acupuncture, of which you have a clinic, and that's and you do that. They maybe hear about Tai Chi, they hear Qigong, they see people kind of doing this, and pardon the term, but weird movements, and they talk about there's a ball of energy, and you need to move with it, and they kind of shrug their shoulders and have no idea what you're talking about. So, as an introduction, I was wondering if you could just, as a Western audience, explain what it is when you're working as an acupuncturist and when you're working as a Qigong master and Qigong instructor with other people. What is it you're doing, and what is this energy system of the body that's being talked about, the life force?
Right. Well, I think it's a fascinating topic because people are really interested in finding ways and resources to help them in their lives, whether it's a health problem, an emotional problem, a spiritual issue. You know, how can they get some resources for themselves so they don't always have to rely on other people? The energy system is really interesting because in the East, it's a whole new system. You know, where in the West we have our respiratory system, our digestive system, our cardio system. There's something underneath all of that powers all these other systems. You know, for example, the cardiovascular system, the heartbeat, right? There's an electricity there. Without that electricity, the circulation doesn't work. So we think of Qi, or the energy of the body, as the animating force. It's kind of the great mystery. It's like, how does the heart beat? And we don't really know. It's this power, this electricity that moves through our nervous system. It powers our thoughts and our consciousness and our thinking. So Qi really is what electricity is to your computer. You know, without that electricity, the computer doesn't work no matter how wonderful the machine is. You need that electricity to move through it. And, in the East, they've mapped out the way in which the electricity and the energy systems work in your body. You mentioned acupuncture. So, for example, there might be a pressure point or an acupuncture point on the hand that would be good for, let's say, headaches or pain. When you stimulate that point, for example, it's kind of like turning on a light switch on one side of the room and the light goes on and it's on the other side. So you're stimulating, one area to have an effect on a distal or another part of the body. And it's kind of been over thousands of years. People have figured out where these points are, where these meridian lines or these energy lines are that go through the body. And I always tell people wouldn't be sticking needles in their bodies if it didn't have some effect and have some positive results for the last 5,000 years.
Well, and that's what's fascinating is we talk about modern medicine, and really that's kind of only 300-400 years old, and yet we talk about these alternative methods. They're 2, 3, 5,000 years old.
Yeah, right, and that's what they call the New Age, right? But it's really the ancient age.
Yeah, yeah, and it's not
so
like
you're exactly right.
Yeah, and we kind of don't see a lot of that in the Western press or maybe the Western medical journals, but the Chinese have been working with this for thousands and thousands of years, and these are smart people. They're not, a backwards people or
no,
shamans or witch doctors. I saw something. There are more honor students, specialized honor students of high IQs in China than we have children. And so these are smart people. This is the system they work with, and they're studying it. And the science that's going on in China that we don't see here is absolutely amazing with this stuff.
It's really amazing. The exciting part of the medicine is really what I love is the idea of complementary medicine, where you have Western medicine and Eastern medicine working together. I have a clinic here in California. We have it was called the Integrated Medicine Center, and we had a Western doctor, and I practiced Eastern medicine. And we kind of tackle problems from both angles, and it works phenomenally well. I think the Eastern medicine really works well for prevention, for chronic problems, for increasing life force energy, which, in the West, they don't study vitality and life force. We study sickness and disease. Medical school is a study of sickness, a study of cadavers, where, this medicine is a study of vitality and life force. How do we keep our energy strong no matter where we are? If we're feeling good, how do we feel even better? In Chinese medicine, they say, don't dig your well when you're dying of thirst. Don't wait till you have a problem before you start working on it. Yeah. Always work. If you're working with the energy system, you're going to be feeling and finding things that are out of balance before they manifest physically. And so the medicine really worked. You'd go see your Qigong specialist or your acupuncturist, and as long as you were healthy, you continue to pay them sort of a monthly fee. And then as soon as you started having problems, you got sick, your body didn't feel well, your payments go down because the doctor isn't doing their job, because their job is to keep you healthy, not to treat you once you're sick. So it was a complete reverse of our model now. So the job was to keep you healthy, feeling good, and once you got sick, then payments go down. So the motivation was actually on health and vitality, which I think is brilliant, because now we have this incredible, highly advanced modern medicine, but we have more sickness and more problems, and all kinds of things that come from just putting energy and focus on sickness and disease.
Yeah, well, I think that's right. If I'm in a car accident, take me to the emergency room. But I think Western medicine really focuses on that trauma care, but when you have issues of various organs in the body, which these are made up of cells, they're made up of molecules, they're an energy, they have a vibration, they have a frequency. This isn't woo-woo stuff. This is proven Western scientific matter. If an EKG reading on the heart is measuring the electricity of the heart. An MRI, magnetic resonance image, is measuring the magnetic field your body is emanating. That's how that works. Yeah. So this stuff is for real. And the brilliance of the Chinese medical system is they have mapped out, just like you need wires and to flow energy into your house and go in different directions, and that energy is always flowing. God forbid that there be a kink or somehow electricity builds up into your house, you're going to have a huge problem. A lot of us, a lot of us through stress and maybe toxins in the environment or bad, what have you, diet, we kink the hose, so to speak, and we can't get that water flowing or that energy flowing.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. We call it, stagnant energy or a blockage, or some of these kinds of terms. But really, it just means that the wiring gets frayed from stress. We really look at how our emotions affect our physiology, because emotions are they're very liquid. They're very hard to grasp. You can't quite, you can't put emotions in a test tube. You can't do surgery on emotions, but we all know that they're very real. So we think of the emotional energy that moves through the system as being very powerful catalyst for what happens physiologically. And everybody knows emotions are real, but emotions really are just energy in your body. And same with thoughts. We all have thoughts, but if you did brain surgery, you're not going to see, what you're visualizing in your mind. It's not there. It's in an energetic state. And so what I love about sort of the quantum physics and new science is that it's really describing what these ancient masters of energy medicine were talking about from a more, they were talking about it from a more subjective viewpoint, and these modern physicists are talking about it from a more objective viewpoint, but they're really saying the same thing.
Yeah. So let's get more into the technical side, or the scientific, or whatever you want to say, of exactly what it is that you do when you're moving this energy. So let's just explain what Qigong is and what it is that you're doing.
Yeah, Qigong is very similar to Tai Chi, and it actually Qigong means a mastery at working with energy. Qi means energy. It means your life force. It can sometimes translate to like life breath, but it really means the energy we get from breath. And we get energy from lots of things. The main way we get energy is from breathing and eating and sleeping and from sunlight and nature. So we get energy from all these different ways. In fact, there's, in Chinese medicine, there's really about 350 descriptions of different kinds of qi, different kinds of life force energy. It's almost like, Eskimos have 1,000 words for snow. But that life force energy is everywhere. And, we need to have a skillfulness at working with that life force energy if we're going to be successful or healthy in our lives. And so basically Qigong is a skill at working with that life force energy, whether it's exercise or nutrition or movements or stretching. And how do we optimize the energy and the energy circulation that goes through our bodies so that we lead very healthy, fulfilled lives? And that's basically the goal. And go ahead.
I want to interrupt you real quick, just to get my head around this and wrap it around. When you say life force, when you say Qi, would that be the same as, say, the 0-point field? So if you break an atom down all the way past the quarks and all the subparticles, science is saying that we are interconnected by a force of energy, 0-point field, the matrix, whatever you want to call it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. That definitely is. I mean, I think that's so cool that they've started to really talk about the universe as just this vibrating quantum energetic power, and I think that's exactly what the Qigong masters were talking about. That as you break down from a cell to a molecule to atom, really what you're finding is that there's nothing really physical at all about our bodies or about the nature of the universe. It's all vibration. If you broke down your body, actually what it was physically, it'd be something like the size of a pinhead. Yeah. It's about 99% this empty space, but not necessarily an empty space of nothing. It's an electromagnetic field. It's an empty space of vibration and magnetism and electricity. And, we're just a conversion of sunlight into these bodies. And when you break it down to their fundamental nature, it's energy, it's vibration. And I think this is exactly what these ancient masters were talking about.
Yeah, and if you remember from your high school science class, if you have a charged particle and you accelerate that charged particle, that particle is going to form a magnetic field, an energy field. So this is, what these guys were talking about 5,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, within the last couple hundred years, we're saying, hey, there's this field out there that creates a magnetic field and an electrical field, and we're all connected to it. Actually, not even a couple hundred years, 50 years ago, 60 years, whenever that started happening. And so we're it's waving our hands saying, look what we discovered with all this great science and atom smashers and particle accelerators, and you read the literature from 5,000 years ago and they're talking the same thing.
Yeah, that's great. Because there's really these two natures of reality. We have this subjective nature, this internal universe that goes on inside of ourselves, and then we have this objective nature where we can, quantify and study and look at. But, the sort of the yin and yang of the universe. And what we want to be able to do with our Qigong and our practices is how do we create harmony and balance from this internal universe, what's going on inside of ourselves, and our external environment, make these harmonized, balanced, and healthy.
Well, you use movement, and it's interesting because if a particle is vibrating, it's moving, it has a frequency, it creates an energy force, and Qigong uses movement. And just to clarify the difference between Tai Chi and Qigong, all Tai Chi is Qigong, but not all Qigong is Tai Chi. Is that accurate?
That is correct, yeah. Tai Chi was a martial arts branch of Qigong practice. So they took, these Qigong principles of energy and power and strength and then put them into forms that had martial application. Mainly now people practice Tai Chi for health and relaxation and flexibility, stress management, but it's really a form of Qigong practice.
Okay. So maybe we've seen videos or seen people in a class or maybe even in the park doing Qigong practices, and it's a lot of movement, maybe slow movement even. What exactly does these Qigong exercises do, and why specifically do you have to move in these different ways?
Right. Why are people moving so slowly? It's kind of like this slow motion kind of dance. It can be very graceful and beautiful to watch. But, the reason you slow down is because you're getting in touch, you're integrating your mind and body, basically. And when you breathe slower and you move the body slower, what happens to the mind is it calms down. It doesn't go from thought to thought to thought to thought. So, in a way, it's a moving meditation. And it's a way to integrate mind, body, emotion, and feel a sense of harmony and balance within yourself. That's one reason. Another reason is when you move your body slowly, it does something to the nervous system to calm down, to switch it from in a stress mode or sympathetic part of the nervous system into the parasympathetic, which is the relaxation mode. And so slow, graceful movements connected to deep breathing makes that switch in the nervous system where we feel like after you do a Qigong practice, you should feel like you've just been on vacation for a week. And people describe it as this like, oh, God, I feel blissed out. I feel so relaxed. I feel more integrated. And it's because of this switch in the nervous system. What they talk about in Chinese medicine or in Qigong is that when you slow the body down, you increase the energy that's moving inside you and you optimize it. You make sure all the wiring and the currents are strong and flowing in their best way. And that's basically why you do it. There's about 3,000 different styles of Qigong. Some are very vigorous exercise movements or martial arts movements or even almost like power yoga kind of movements. And then you also have this side where it's very slow, graceful, deep breathing, where it seems like somebody's not doing much of anything. But when you experience it, it's like a whole different universe opens up. Somebody saw one of my video programs, and she's like, I want to do that. I want to do I think I could do that guy. He looks like he's doing nothing. I think I could do that.
He looks like he's doing nothing.
Yeah,
amazing.
Looks like he's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then we call it the art of Qigong is called the art of effortless power. So it should feel very, very effortless, almost in the same way like a river moves down the mountain. There's no effort, no strain. And as you practice Qigong, things in your life start to unfold in a more effortless way, without resistance, without tension, without force, but from this kind of intrinsic strength and power that we have inside ourselves.
Well, I want to throw everybody your website. It's leeholden.com. On there's Qigong articles, and if you kind of look on the left-hand side, there's a bunch of different links to different articles. And, some people may be hearing this or understanding Qigong for the first time or maybe being reintroduced to it. And, okay, yeah, I get how doing a Qigong practice is going to reduce my stress. But some of these articles you have here, Qigong for back pain, and it's kind of a head scratch. It's like, yeah, well, I don't really get it. But you got into this Qigong practice and the energy healing because you were in some massive pain a while ago. Yeah, right. It was actually when I was in college, I had a really severe back injury, and I had, I was kind of sidelined my
my little varsity soccer career there in collegiate sports, and I was so depressed and bummed. I was, I got painkillers and cortisone shots and physical therapy, and 3 weeks later, I'm walking to class, and I can barely get to class because I'm in so much pain. And I had taken martial arts when I was a kid, and I had seen this martial arts master break a big stack of bricks, and I was like, how did he do that? And he told me, he started describing Qi. Qi is this power and energy, and when you utilize it right, and you're in the right alignment, you could, have tremendous strength and power. And then he said, but Qi is mainly used for healing. And when I had this injury, I went back home and got acupuncture, and he showed me Qigong exercises, and within 2 or 3 weeks, I was, fully recovered. And so I was like, why are more people doing this? It was amazing. I was like 19, 20 years old. Why isn't this taught? And it just became sort of a catalyst for me to want to pursue that and to teach it and to share that with people, because it's such a powerful way to activate our own healing within our bodies. And so what I wanted to do was take, these ancient Qigong practices and make them very practical. And so I made DVDs on all kinds of condition-specific ailments, like back pain or stress or weight loss. How do we use Qigong so that we can have some resources for ourselves to be able to help our own energy and guide our health and vitality in the way that we want it to go.
Well, you mentioned some videos and things, so let's go there. But I also have some more questions. If you go to your store, there's a lot of different videos people can take. It's some CDs and things. People want to get more information. They're interested. They're fascinated by this. What do they start with first?
I have a Qigong for beginners, and on my website you do it's leeholden.com, and then you do /special, and then all the DVDs show up. But I think Qigong for beginners is a good one. I also have one for people who are busy. It's called 7 Minutes of Magic, and it's just a 7-minute routine in the morning and a 7-minute routine in the evening. And the morning routine is to get your energy up. It's like it's a Qigong double latte.
Oh, nice.
And then in the evening, it's kind of like your Qigong cocktail. So you don't get that, caffeine crash. It's all, it's only 7 minutes. So there's 2 routines on that 7 minutes of magic. And there's also, if you had more time, you could do the same routine in a longer amount of time. So that's a nice option. And then there's all kinds of condition-specific things like, Qigong for back pain, weight loss, for healthy joints. I have one for seniors as well. So it's kind of whatever you need working on. I think you could, do a beginners, and then whatever specific thing that you wanted to do would be a good option.
Yeah, you have a bunch of Qigong for more energy, just about everything. Qigong for weight loss, is that for real? How does that work?
Yeah. Oh man, that works so good. It's amazing. I want to do more in this field because I was surprised. I had a show on PBS and we did this weight loss thing, but I had a lot of feedback. One guy, he wrote in, he was quite upset. He said he lost 70 pounds doing the Qigong program over about 9 months, and now he has loose skin, and he wanted me to have a DVD for Qigong for loose skin, okay, which I never thought of, but maybe that would be a companion title.
Oh, man, that's funny.
So the weight loss. Because when you get out of your stress mode, your metabolism works better. And so there's all kinds of deep breathing. There's a good core exercise routine on there, some strengthening, but it really is about switching the nervous system and activating your metabolism. So it's a little different than just your typical. It doesn't have any dietary stuff. It doesn't have any necessarily like go out and jog 20 miles kind of things. It's more about metabolism optimization, clearing stress, doing the right kinds of exercises to strengthen the body, and then I show a whole point routine for cutting cravings.
Nice.
And so it works well with anything else that you're doing, but it also just works really well by itself.
Okay, so I know nothing about Qigong. I've never done Qigong. I get one of these DVDs, and I'll be able to do the practice without any
absolutely
physical instruction?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had a show on public television for like 8 years, and people are doing the show and getting amazing results. I mean, even more amazing than I ever expected. So yeah, I think if people just want to, you try it a few times, and it's pretty mind blowing. It works, and it's been working for a long time.
Okay, well, I want to ask you about something, and please excuse the cultural reference, but if you've ever seen the 1980s version of The Karate Kid with Ralph Macchio.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so at the end of the movie,
Catching the fly with the chopsticks.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah.
It's a great movie. I don't know. Actually, I haven't seen it in probably 25 years, but there's one scene that always blew my mind. I was wondering if that was a Hollywood thing or not, but hopefully this isn't a spoiler for anybody. But at the end of the movie, I forget his name, but Ralph Macchio, the actor playing this kid, being trained by Mr. Miyagi, he's in a competition. Yeah. He gets his knee busted up by a dirty trick, and he wants Mr. Miyagi to fix him. So Mr. Miyagi does this big clap of his hands, rubs his hands together, and you really don't see what he does because it's kind of the drama of the movie. Was that Qigong? Was that for real? Was that what he was doing, Mr. Miyagi?
That's really what he was doing. He was doing it's called medical Qigong, and you're basically using your own energy to help somebody else heal. And we do this all the time. If something hurts, we put our hands on it, we massage it. Touch has a very powerful healing catalyst for somebody else. And so the idea is when you develop your energy to a certain level, you'll have a more powerful way to influence somebody else's body. It's almost a way in which you can communicate to the cells and the circulation and the nervous system in a stronger way. And so after, lots of years of training and practice, people have developed strong, let's say, healing hands or strong healing touch or strong healing power. And, often it's not always instantaneous. Sometimes it is. I've seen, miraculous things happen. But really what happens is, everybody's body has an incredible healing power, a self-regulating system. And if you activate it, it's not necessarily that person is healing you. It's that your body your healing power is getting turned on. These switches are getting turned on by somebody's intention, somebody's energy, and this amazing thing that we have going on anyways. And when that happens in just the right way, it happens really quickly and happens, what we would say kind of miraculously.
And again, we suddenly kind of stepped into the deep end, and we're getting kind of woo-woo again. But again, you break the cells down, you break the atoms down, and the quarks and all those subparticles, and you have this 0-point field, this matrix that's connected to everybody, everything. This is not ancient Chinese. Well, it is, but it's not just for them. This is what science is saying. And if you're trained and have the talent and skill, you tap into that, and you can connect with somebody else. So that's really cool stuff. Part of what I do when I interview somebody is I do some research. I listen to other interviews or look around and try to find articles about the people I'm interviewing. And one of the things that's fascinated me, you have been around the world, China, Thailand, various places, studying with various masters. That sounds just fascinating and really, really cool. Cool. Go ahead.
I got lucky enough to, I got hired by a Qigong master in Thailand to be his ghostwriter. So I got to write, about 10 books for him. And so whenever I went to Thailand, I would, do this extended stay, and I would train with other Qigong masters. I got to train with him very, very personally, and it was just a wonderful way to dive into the practice at a deeper level.
The story I heard you tell, which I just love, is the guy you were training with in San Francisco.
Uh-huh.
He didn't speak any English, you didn't speak Chinese, and yet you trained with this guy on a regular basis without any words, basically.
Yeah. He was an incredible Tai Chi master, martial arts master, and he teaching 25 to 50 people in Golden Gate Park, and he didn't speak any English, and he would just show movements, and we'd follow and we repeat and show movements, and he could do these amazing things. He was an incredible martial artist. He was a little guy. He would throw these big, kind of football player looking guys around like they were little kids. And so it was just showing, I was like, how does he do that? How does this, this soft, gentle, And, really what it is, it's nothing too, like you said, nothing too woo-woo. It's like when you learn to move your body like water, you develop a different kind of power and strength. If you've ever stood in a wave, right, and get hit by a wave, it's just like water is very soft and gentle, but when it moves together, it becomes tremendously powerful. And that's how this kind of martial arts work. And that's also how the medicine works. You integrate, you create a cohesive force within the body, and you get a powerful movement that helps to heal and regulate.
Well, you're sort of like an all-encompassing master of this energy work, because you're an acupuncturist.
Yeah.
And you have your own clinic. You also have regular classes in Qigong, and I'm assuming maybe different even styles. This is a Qigong for healing this, and this is a Qigong for maybe stress release.
Yeah.
You have, of course, all the videos. You also teach people to become Qigong masters, I guess, and become a Qigong instructor.
Yeah, I have a wonderful Qigong teacher training course here in Santa Cruz. I do one on the East Coast and one on the West Coast. And for the last, 3 years, we're doing Qigong teacher training so that people can learn this art, be able to share it. And we're doing it mainly in the style of medical Qigong, where people learn the basics, and then they can go out and share it with, people are sharing it in hospitals and senior centers. People are doing it for kids. And it's just been a wonderful way to, help spread this wonderful ancient art that has so many practical benefits.
Well, I'm going to ask you maybe what is an unanswerable question, but it seems that this style of energy work is becoming more accepted, especially acupuncture. I was on healthcare.gov last night looking at all the things, and they'll actually say in the insurance things, this does not cover acupuncture, or this does cover acupuncture and chiropractic and stuff. It's so ingrained in Western culture, they have to say, yes, we cover acupuncture, no, we do not. That seems like a real recent thing. Within maybe the last 10 years, 15 years, it's gone from weird things that weird people do to, well, why doesn't my health insurance cover my acupuncture treatments? That pisses me off.
Right.
What happened?
Yeah, exactly.
What was the tipping point? Well, this show is called Tipping Point Radio. What was the tipping point where it went from, or do you know, that it went from being a weird thing that a handful of people know about to mass consciousness that insurance agencies have to say, we don't cover that?
Yeah. I mean, it's huge. I think acupuncture is the fastest growing medical profession now in the country. I heard that as a statistic. But yes, I mean, it's very mainstream now. People use acupuncture, and doctors recommend it. I get, prescriptions from doctors all the time for acupuncture. One tipping point was in the 70s when Richard Nixon went to China, and one of his cabinet members, I think, had some really severe problem, and he went to the doctors. Nobody could fix it, and then he went to this acupuncturist, and it worked, and he got better. And when he came back, there was an article, I forget if it was in the New York Times, but in a major magazine, a newspaper article about how acupuncture had saved, this guy's life, basically. And it sparked something. And from then, that was in, I think, 1972 or somewhere around there. And I think that lit a fire, and, acupuncture schools started springing up. Acupuncture became more popular. And lately, over the last 10 years, there's been a lot of research on what happens when people are getting acupuncture. They're seeing, doing brain studies while people are getting acupuncture, and they're seeing that the pain centers in the brain get highly activated. They see that the nervous system goes from, from sympathetic to parasympathetic. And so a lot of research is happening because we're curious about, what's going on when we get acupuncture and we get we stimulate these points, what's happening physiologically. And then on the flip side, there's also a lot of studies on when you get acupuncture, how is it effective? So, for example, people getting IVF for fertility, when you get acupuncture with it, the odds of getting pregnant and conceiving go up about 30 or 40%. And so it's a really easy way to see how the efficacy of acupuncture. So if you get IVF without acupuncture, you get 1% one statistic of conceiving, and then when you get acupuncture and IVF together, the statistic goes up 30 or 40%. And so they're kind of, a lot of head scratching, like, okay, we see that it works, but why is it working? And we still haven't answered exactly why it's working, but we're starting to see that, things are happening in the nervous system and in the brain. And one theory, I heard a doctor saying that when your nervous system is in that parasympathetic relaxation mode, that's when healing can happen. When we're all stressed out and we're all uptight, it's very hard for the body to regulate. And it might be just as simple as that we relax and the nervous system switches, and then the body is healing all by itself. And then the acupuncture is the catalyst for that.
Well, you mentioned conception, and I got my own little acupuncture story I'll tell really super quick. We were, my wife was pregnant, and this is back in 2000. Baby needed to be born. The amniotic fluid was drying up, and if the baby wasn't born by Saturday, this was Monday, baby didn't come out naturally on his own. By Saturday morning, they were going to go in after him. It was a kind of a danger thing. Amniotic fluid was drying up, and Christina didn't want to deal with them going to get him. So Thursday night, she had her acupuncturist do start getting things kicking in gear. And so had her acupuncture treatment. 2 hours later, the labor started. And then over through the night, it was a long labor. She wasn't very comfortable, but for some reason, about 10 o'clock Friday morning, it stopped. And she called her acupuncturist and said, it stopped. And so the acupuncturist came over to our house, did a treatment, and we were in the hospital a few hours later. The baby was being born. Yeah. It was unreal. It was mind-blowing.
Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah. And again, it's like that, the hose example. You kink up the hose, the water's not coming out there, and same with the energy. You've got to unkink that hose, and that's acupuncture, Qigong. This is what you're working with.
Yeah, exactly. I've done some similar stuff. I've gone to hospitals and induced labor, so to speak, with certain acupuncture points, and it works so well, and it's great for pain and all that kind of stuff. Also, there's points for breached labor that you can. So if the baby is in the right position, you use certain points, and that works. The statistic is it works about 80% of the time.
Yeah,
so it's really cool.
The person you're working on, do they have to be in on the game plan? Can you take a I don't know what you call them, a non-believer, and work with their energy, or if they're closed off like that, does it still work, or do they have to be open to what you're doing?
It still works. Like, for example, I have a good story. I have a wife who brings her husband into my office. He's an MD, and he's got shingles, so he's in tremendous pain, and the medicine isn't working, and she kind of drags him in. He's like, just so you know, I don't believe in this. I'm doing it for her. She's just like talking my head off, and, go ahead, do your thing, but I don't believe in it. So I was like, okay, I do the points, and he comes back the next time, and I was like, how are you feeling? He's like, you know what? I still don't believe in this stuff, but it's the only thing that's working for me. So we did a series of treatments. I was like, go ahead, don't believe in it, use all better in 4 or 5 treatments. He's like, this stuff is just a bunch of, witch doctory stuff. That's the only thing that's working. So
that's insane.
We had a good laugh about it.
But
acupuncture, they're showing that it works on animals and babies. So it does. There's something that goes beyond the belief system. I always, of course, if somebody's mind is behind it and they believe in it, it's going to work better. And it's just in the same way, Western medicine will work better because our minds have tremendous influence on the body, and that's why things like placebos work. If we could kind of bottle up a placebo into a medicine, it would be the greatest drug ever. And this is just your mind believing in something and having an effect on the body. And what is that? That's your energy. We say the mind leads the chi. Your mind guides the energy through your body. So our beliefs and our thoughts and even our emotions will have a strong influence on the energy of your body because thoughts are energy. And so if we have our thoughts behind something, we're going to have more power behind it. So there's definitely power in how we believe and perceive and desire, but it doesn't, for this to work, it doesn't. You don't have to believe in it. It just works.
Yeah. Well, this is all good stuff. Lee, I so appreciate your time. I want to let everybody know, take some time and go over to leeholden.com. And if you're on the Tipping Point Radio site, just tippingpointradio.com/Lee, Lee, and you'll see links to his website and that video page, which was leeholden.com/special, and you'll see all the different videos that he has. And this is great stuff that I think a lot of people are finally tuning into and realizing this stuff works. So, Lee, I love all the work that you're doing, and you've been one of the big catalysts to get this out into mass consciousness. Maybe you were the tipping point that brought it all together with all your PBS specials and videos and classes that you've been doing. So I appreciate your work.
Well, thank you.
And I appreciate your time.
Hey, thanks so much for having me. Great interview, and always happy to share, this amazing work that's ancient wisdom, but now really being able to utilize it in modern times.
Thank you so much, Lee. We'll talk to you again, I'm sure.